You're watching Moms Matter at Focus TV Network, and I'm super excited for today's guest. She is beautiful inside and out. Dr. Z is a positive psychologist, and I was just telling her how excited I am to have her because she is the best-selling author of 21 Days to Resilience, which mamas, all of you should pick this book up. We're going to talk about it today and give you some tips on how to become more resilient. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have you. I just think positive psychology is the future. I think that our kids are under so much pressure, that we put so much pressure on ourselves. And you write in your book that creating resilience is really the key to happiness.
It is. Yeah.
So how do we do that? How do we create resilience?
I think first we need to talk about the happiness piece, because I think that's sort of the missing link in the myth in our culture. A lot of people sort of seek out happiness, and the new year just happened, and resolutions are going on, and everyone's pretty much telling me, I just really want to be happy. I want to lose weight to be happy. I want to switch jobs to be happy, and really happiness is a feeling. It comes and goes. So if we anchor our goals in a fleeting feeling, we set ourselves up for failure. And, I realized that sort of early on in my career when I was researching happiness. And I thought, well, okay, it's not the actual happy feeling that's leading to all of these positive outcomes, because it's true. Happiness, in a sense, does lead to all of these things like longevity and well-being and all of these great things. It's the thinking pattern, right? The way we think about our world that creates joyful feelings
100%.
and sad feelings and leads us to fulfillment, right?
Absolutely.
So we're sort of misleading people in a way by making it all about happiness. And we have, it's just disappointing, because you ask a parent, we're both parents, what do you want your kids? What do you want for your kids? I want them to be happy, right? That's pretty much 99% of the time the answer that I get.
Very true.
And it's just sad, because it's a lot of pressure for them, and it's really unrealistic.
Well, I think it's unrealistic too, because we set goals for them, and they set goals for themselves that are unrealistic.
Right.
So I think you write about this in your book, and I think it's brilliant to say to set achievable goals will really help you find that happiness,
right,
and help you become, because if we say to ourselves, and we're all living in a city that's very high pressure,
yes,
affluent families, and everyone's pushing for those Ivy League schools or this and that.
Right.
And these poor kids, you're looking at schools that let in 4% of the population, and they think if they don't get in that they're worthless.
Right. And that's obviously why we're seeing such increased anxiety and depression, and suicide rates are skyrocketing. I do think because of all this pressure, because of this internalized anxiety and pressure that our children are feeling and that we feel, parenting has become ego-driven, really. It's about, what does it say about us if our child is not successful in the way that we expect or hope for them to be.
That's right.
And I think that's kind of the biggest hurdle. And so you ask, how do we build resilience? The good news is that resilience is a skill. It's not something we're born with or without. So if you feel like you're not a resilient person, that's very short term. You can change that. And I think, some of my greatest work is in helping people understand how powerful we are by changing our thoughts, changing the way in which we, the lens with which we see our world can change everything, and can shift that power back into yourself and change your trajectory. So, how to build resilience is a big topic. I could talk for hours about it, which is why I wrote the book. The book is really a toolkit. It's not just why is resilience important? Right. We know resilience is important. Right. We know we need it. But how has been left out of the conversation. So really that's what the book is all about. And it's just actionable little tidbits and tools, simple things that we can all do for ourselves as adults, but also with our families and our kids. A lot of people team up to do this, to hold each other accountable.
I think it's so important. I think that failure is so important. You talk about that.
I do.
And that's really when you get the grit, and that's really when you get the resilience, is when you fail. And I think we're so afraid of failing. We're so afraid of our children failing. And what would your advice be to moms about that?
I love that you brought that up, because failure is incredible. It's actually really important. And again, it's a cultural myth that we're fed to fear failure, right? When I say the word, you failed, we clench up our stomach, we drop, we just cannot tolerate failure. And that's sad, because the opportunities that come from failure are often the most incredible, change makers in our lives that can really transform us, transform our companies, transform our families. Play-Doh was invented as a wallpaper cleaner. that's a failure,
Yes,
right?
yes,
But then
yes.
someone saw an opportunity.
Sure.
So really, a lot of the work I do in the seminars that I do and the speaking engagements is how to approach failure almost like a detective. Ask the right questions, try to view it objectively. We're all going to feel the emotion. So, own the emotion, face it, but then move on from it. Look at it objectively, almost like a project. And there's all sorts of ways that we can approach it to kind of workshop it and make it work for us and strengthen us.
I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal when you are raising a family and there's going to be so many times where they've failed or they haven't done as well as they've wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think that we are usually saying, it's okay, honey, but no.
But it's not okay.
Right.
Right. And that's actually a great point. As parents, we often want to sort of, I say, put a pillow over like the sound, right? To deaden it, like to soften it. They need to feel the gamut of what they're experiencing, and just saying, you're okay, they're not okay. In that moment, to them, it's a big deal. It might even be the biggest thing that ever happened to them in that moment.
Right.
But to us, obviously, it's not as big of a deal because we have, more years behind us, and it's a different world, and we're different people. So really acknowledge their experience of it, but then give them tools, help them workshop it. I say the word workshop a lot because it sort of helps people get out of the feeling of the moment where you feel, my child is upset. Like, you want to just, here's a tissue, you're fine, stop crying, you're good, right? And just let them own it, let them experience it, and instead help them find the tools, the words, the tips, to do it themselves.
Right.
Okay, what's some way to approach this? Like, what are you thinking? Instead of saying, well, do this, do that, which is often our knee-jerk reaction.
Sure, it is, because we want to fix it all.
We want to fix it.
But then they will never become resilient.
Right. And, and it's sort of like, I say to parents, we have to get comfortable with our children's discomfort. It is the only way, and it's the hardest thing to do. I get it. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old. Like, it is hard to sit there and tolerate them being sad or being mad or frustrated.
Right.
But that's the only way.
And I think all the answers are right here.
A lot of them are.
I think they are. I think a lot of your answers are right here. And it's such a quick read and such an easy read. And it really is very helpful.
Thank you.
So rather than us trying to break this down, I think what I'm going to say to all the mamas out there is check out this book, guys. Order it on Amazon. It'll show up on your doorstep tomorrow. And honestly, Dr. Z, you're a wealth of knowledge because you are helping this next generation. You're helping us cultivate this next generation of kids who are going to be stronger and happier, rather than letting them constantly put that pillow and mute everything, or let them feel it and let them overcome it themselves.
Yes, exactly.
So, thank you for this, and thank you for being on our show. Yes. And you guys, check in next time, because we're going to have another little chat with Dr. Z about another little thing that you all need to know about. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time on Focus TV Network.